It is heating up here in Terlingua. It said it was going to get to about 98 today. I don't know if it did. Maybe it was 90, 95 or 96 with the peak heat coming around 4 or 5 o'clock. It's about 7 now, and just a quiet little Friday night. I finally got the fence up for the garden, which is great. I need to build a gate still, so I'm going to do that tonight. Because tomorrow's a full moon and I want to get my plants in the ground tomorrow. At least the tomatoes, because they are just ready to go. They're ready to go. It's just so hot in those little black, planters that I have, and I just wanted to get them in soil, and I need everything to start growing, especially the tomatoes, so that the fruit will set when it comes time. So it doesn't get too hot for them to set fruit. So they need to get in the ground ASAP. I'm glad I didn't do it a couple weeks ago, because I did put a tomato plant out and it died in the frost. That was, I believe, last week. So tomatoes need to get in the ground. I would like to get everything in the ground, but I have about 70 or 80 plants. So I'm thinking I have about a dozen tomato plants. If I could get those tomorrow, and we'll see what else I can do. Maybe the borage, because that's a good companion plant, from what I've heard, around the tomatoes. So we'll get that done. And today, did some errands, had to pick up more water because I haven't had success with the well drilling yet, or the digging. I got about, I think, 4 feet down or so, and was just starting to hit rocks that were too big for me to remove with the post hole auger. I would kind of rotate it around and maybe use the rock bar to stick the stone in there and then lift it out. But we're getting to that point. We're getting deep enough where I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that anymore. So yesterday, or a couple days ago, when I was in Alpine picking up all my materials, I told my friend about this issue, and he said, you might need to dig out a 3-foot diameter hole, with a shovel, and just keep going down. And he mentioned that people used to use these, not cylinder, some type of cylindrical thing, and they would drop it in the ground, then keep digging, then drop another one in the ground and keep digging, so that the sides of the well wouldn't fall in. But I don't know where to procure those items, and I don't know. I'd really like the hand auger thing to work. I'm gonna try by the creek, instead of right now where it's about 100 feet from my campsite and about 60 feet from the garden, so it would have been a perfect place had it worked, but I'm just not sure if I'm going to be able to get those rocks out. So my next idea is to go to the creek and do that. And I think that, the water table is obviously closer over there. I don't know if the water table, how high it is all the way over here, because I'm a half mile from the creek. So 10 minutes away, 10 to 20 feet away from the creek, I'm sure the water, the sand in the ground is saturated, because there was those Tanahas filled up from September last year, September's rain. There was still water in the Tanaha, and I believe that's where the groundwater is. So water is always important out here. This is just, I spent another $30 on water today, and I'll probably have to do another run before I figure out this well issue. But the garden, is so important to me. If I wasn't gardening, I don't know what I would be doing out here. It really speaks to me. I get so excited when I open up those seed packets and get to look through the seed artwork and just think about the bounty that could be had with enough, hard work and materials. So that's going to be really exciting to get some things in the ground tomorrow. Some of the fruit trees are all right. The pear trees got decimated by, I believe, a grasshopper or locust of some sort. So I don't know why them and not the other ones. The persimmons have leafed out. One of the apricots have leafed out. And the fig is just starting to pop. So really excited about that. I love figs. But things are coming along. It's just I really need to figure out the heating, or not the heating, the cooling situation, because it's just too hot for me. Like in my camper right now, I think it's 90, 92, 90 degrees. And it is a dry heat. I will argue that after living in North Carolina for 10 years, that humidity started bugging me after maybe high 70s, maybe even 80 degrees. I would feel way too hot and really not enjoy being in that climate. So out here, I'm in the sun right now. I don't feel too hot, but the campers heat up. They're made of metal, right? And the insulation is thin on the campers, and they just heat up and they store the heat. And I don't like sleeping in the heat. I really prefer not to. So I have a window AC unit I could throw in one of my campers. One of the campers already has an AC unit. I just don't have enough solar hooked up right now to run it. If I put all my panels together, 1200, let's see, 1600. I have almost 2,000 watts of solar, which should run AC for a bit here and there. Maybe I'd turn it on like right before, I went to bed, because that's when I really need it. I don't like to sit inside when it's hot in the camper. That's not what I like doing. It's when I'm trying to sleep is what I need it for. So those AC units, they can use 1,500, 1,800 watts. I haven't checked exactly these two units, but they're power hungry, and it's probably the most electricity I'll need for anything is for the AC units. I have a little Mr. Coffee machine. I think he uses, I looked in the back, 900 watts. So things that heat and cool use the most electricity. You're charging your computer is between 500 and 100 watts. Light bulbs are anywhere from 5 watts to 60 or 100 if you have incandescent. A lot of appliances, even fans don't use a ton, maybe 150 to 300. It's when you're running a motor and a compressor, that's when you're using a lot of electricity. So I have about 1,200 watts sitting over there. I took it down from someone's house, and that was the payment. Was the solar panels, which brand new would cost maybe $1,000 or more. I don't know how long they've been up there. I don't know how old they were. They still had voltage going through them when I checked one of them. So I'm just gonna hook it up and see what happens. I'm just waiting on one of the parts to hook it up, the charge controller, so that I can loop that into my existing circuit with the batteries. But I really don't want to have AC. It's not something that I really desire in the final development of this property. I envision either an underground house or a earth bermed house with tons of insulation and capacity for storing a more comfortable temperature. And I really don't want to have AC in that final home that's built. But this is all about getting to that point, getting to a more harmonious, sustainable lifestyle, and so I'm making those compromises as transitions into that. And that, I feel like that goes for a lot of technology for me. I mean, if I had it my way, I think I'd be, I wouldn't have a cell phone. I wouldn't watch TV for entertainment. I wouldn't even have a car. I'd have a horse, and I'd be playing music with friends. So why do I need everything else? Why do I need all the other technology? But that's part of this experiment for me is seeing how far I can go in a different direction, an alternative lifestyle, and what that really looks like, and if there's enough people to join me on that. I've definitely stayed away from folks who are always on their cell phone, who are, constantly, participating in social media and whatever, everything that the cell phone and the internet provides. I mean, it should be a tool. It shouldn't be on you all the time. Like, I don't carry my cell phone when I usually go into social situations anymore. And oftentimes I'll leave it at home, and, I don't need it. I carry spare gas and spare tire, stuff like that, tire patch kit, air compressor. I make it so that I don't necessarily need a cell phone if I'm just going out around in town. But I've noticed that the older I get, the less I want to be on those. I deleted Instagram from my phone because I just found that it was absolutely useless for my happiness. And I'm on YouTube, obviously, and I feel like YouTube is a tool because, or for most people, or it seems like a lot of people go there and use it as a tool because they're trying to learn something, they're trying to follow someone that, that they find interesting or whatever. It's all, or being entertained. Like, I get it. It's still an entertainment platform as well. But I've enjoyed going on YouTube because it's more intentional and it's more direct. So yeah, I don't know if the heat's getting to me. I don't feel very articulate right now. I've been drinking more water than usual. But those UV rays will just get you, if you're out. I put the fence up and did some errands and then just tried to chill out in the shade of the camper. But as I said, it's hotter in the camper than it is out here right now. So I'm out doing this. As I said, I'm going to build a quick little gate here for that garden because I cannot afford to let those pigs get in there and trash it. Like, this is really important for me to have a garden this summer. And they're so curious, and they just love being where I am, and they love coming up to my campsite. And I'm still trying to get them fenced in and penned in, They sleep over on the other side of the road, so they'll come over here every morning, and I let them down off the bluff kind of into the little meadow valley. I don't know exactly what to call it, but it's like the grassland, and they already kind of have a pen built up, and there's a gap only this big because I'm not ready to fence them in there, most of the time. But I move them down there, and they'll get bored. The pigs will get bored and find ways to come bug me, which is sometimes funny, but also a big pain, especially when I'm working on a project. So, getting them fenced out of my garden, my campsite are two big priorities, and the garden is definitely the biggest. Like, they'll come in here and kind of trash stuff sometimes, but if they go in the garden and trash, my tomato plants, my cucumber plants, zucchini, squash, all that good stuff I have growing, then we're gonna have problems. So, the pig experiment it's going all right, but we're not even in peak summer. And I'm afraid they're going to either get too hot or too hungry, or because they're not really foraging like I thought they were. Like, they don't really, they munch on the grass a little bit, but they don't do it like, they're not a ruminant like a sheep, so they don't, they're real hungry. They're going through about 2 5-gallon buckets of restaurant scraps right now, and that's about as much as that's coming out. We're, from what I've heard, about to enter a slow season, the slower season here in Terlingua. So it seems like the busy season is October to early April. And then I think it gets too hot and people leave, and people are already leaving. One of my friends, John, Texas John, he left to go to Wyoming or Idaho for the summer. And there's a couple that lives back in the Solitario deep there, and they're heading out, I believe, in a week or two to Wyoming. So people are starting to leave, and I thought I could do this year round, but I'd never been here for a whole summer. I'm just kind of full of shit, and just assume that I can do whatever I put my mind to, and so I've never been here June, July. I was here I moved here in early August, but even then I went back to North Carolina a few times to get a couple, old trucks I had out there, and I don't know. I mean, I'm wondering if I had a pond, like a little swimming pond and AC, and I was getting my own vegetables, so I was getting a lot of nutritious produce. I wonder if that would help. If I could dip in that pond and drink watermelon juice and just hang out here with the people who do stay year round, like I wonder if that would work for me. Like, it's funny. Part of me loves the idea of being a nomad and going, north and following a better climate for those, few hot months. But also I don't have the means to do that, at the moment. And I want to be more permanent in a place. I want to be part of a community. I want to be part of a place. I want to know the seasons and feel them. And I just think living year round, you kind of have to do that. I mean, if you want to do that, you kind of have to live year round, which is what I'm trying to do. So we'll try it out. Everything's an experiment. I just feel like I'm getting a little old for that, for not setting roots down. And that just feels a little nerve-wracking. See, there's the pigs now. They found a way up, and they're over there. Hopefully they're going to go to bed. It's funny. When I got them here, I let them loose, and they figured out where they wanted to sleep because I think they felt the safest there. So I let them sleep there, and that's where they go sleep, and it's on my property. They have 100 acres to explore, and they don't seem to really take advantage of it. But anyway, I think the world is such a complex place, and there's so many options and ways to live now, and there's so many different careers and ways to make money and be part of this earth. So, I'm not going to be stubborn, but I also want to see this through as much as possible. Oop, now they're eating my earphones. Well, we're rounding out on 20 minutes, so I think we're going to call it and get ready to do the garden tomorrow. It'll be really fun. I'll definitely post a video on that when it happens.